Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Those of you who don't know me, my name's Vicky. I'm based in mainland Spain. I chat about true crime, generally. Other things occasionally, but mainly true crime. So here I am in mainland Spain. It is 12:03, midday. It is 33 degrees, this heat dome that we've got in Europe. It's horrible. It's supposed to be collapsing next week. Hallelujah. I hope so. God, just a couple of degrees would help. So here it is. It's not even, it's just gone 12 o'clock. I've already had 2 cold showers today. I've been out, I've got the aircon on, I've got 2 ceiling fans on, I've got the normal fan on, got the blinds down to keep the sun out. Just, gets to a point where there's not really anything else you can do. You just have to grin and bear it, don't you? But there's a lot worse things going on in the world, so I still count my blessings. It's the same every summer, so, it's not a surprise, really. Okay, so what do you think of my headphones? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me over there? Can you hear me over there? So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to talk about this mushroom murder trial. We haven't talked about it for a couple of days because the jury has been deliberating since Monday afternoon. So we're on day 6. Saturday was day 6 of jury deliberations. Now, there could be many reasons for that, why it's taking so long. So personally, now I'm of an opinion that looks better for the guilty side of things. Maybe they're just considering things so very carefully. It's a momentous decision, whichever way round. If this jury find Erin Patterson, sheep farming, you can hear me all the way from Australia. That's good. If they find this lady, let's just have a look at Erin. This is 50-year-old Erin Patterson, accused, and only accused. She did invite her estranged in-laws to lunch. She did give them a lunch laced with death cap mushrooms. Which are these? The most toxic mushrooms you can imagine. And although they look quite innocuous on their picture, what I have realised from seeing other pictures of them, they're actually massive. I can't see how you would confuse them with normal mushrooms. But anyway, that's not the issue. The issue is they were in there. They were in the beef Wellington or beef Wellingtons that Erin served up to her unsuspecting guests. The question is, did Erin put them in there deliberately? Or was it all just some terrible mistake? Now, I'm not going to go over the whole case in this video. So if you want a recap on what's happened in this trial since day 1, and that's been nearly, that's been about 40 days now we've been looking at this case. If you want a recap of everything, please go to the playlist, which should be in the description box. But all we need to know at the moment, and the most important thing, and as far as this video is concerned, these are the victims: Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, Heather Wilkinson, all died after suffering terribly from the toxic effects of these mushrooms. Ian survived. Heather's husband Ian survived. But he had to have a transplant. He was seriously ill for a long time, but he seems to be okay now, at least physically. But imagine the, psychological trauma. And that's been this very, very long trial that's gone on for months, basically. The prosecution, Dr. Nanette Rogers, she called over 50 witnesses to support the prosecution case. We've heard from mushroom experts, we've heard from doctors, we've heard from nurses, we've heard from child protection specialists, we've heard Facebook friends, we've even heard from Erin Patterson's own children in a video interview. Or that's the prosecution's case was a long one, and there was a lot to it, and of course that's probably why these deliberations are taking so long as well. The jury have got a lot to go through in this case, months of testimony, data experts, police, you name it. Nanette Rogers presented it. However, the defence, on the other hand, Colin Mandy, the only thing he presented was Erin. Erin testified in her own defence for 3 days. Never a good idea, really. And of course, it transpires that Erin has told lie after lie after lie, but she's not lying now. She's telling the truth now. Now, remember that. Yes, she's a serial liar. Yes, she did lie about having cancer. Yes, she did lie about ever owning a dehydrator. Yes, she did lie about ever foraging for mushrooms. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Now she's telling the truth. That's what we're expected to believe, or that's what the jury is expected to believe. Now, the jury are the ones that have heard all the evidence. They've seen Erin Patterson up close and personal. They've heard her speak, judge for themselves whether they believe her or not, and it's them that will make the final decision. So the jury went out for deliberations, as I say, on Monday. Today is Saturday. So they had a couple of hours on the Monday, and then since then they've had full days. Now, I think what's important, one of the articles or the news videos that I'm going to show you is, it's important to remember that a full day does not mean 8 hours of deliberations. And I was looking up about Richard Allen in the Delphi case, because this, I remember them going out for the verdict there, and when it didn't come back quickly, like guilty, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be not guilty. But then when it went past a couple of days, I thought, oh no, maybe it will be guilty. And that's exactly what happened, isn't it? Now, they deliberated for 18 hours, the jury in the Delphi case, apparently, over 4 days, but 18 hours. So you say 4 days, it sounds like a long time. But, they don't deliberate all day of those days. They don't, here in this case, they don't start till 10:30. They finish at 4:30. They have a lunch break. And normally, I expect they have shorter breaks in between. So, how many hours are they actually doing? Maybe 4 or 5 hours even. You start at 10:30. Let's say they finish at 12:30. They've only done 2 hours for lunch. They've only done 2 hours. And then say they go back at 1:30 and finish at 4:30. That's only 3 hours. It's only 5 hours. It's not full days. And that's the only time they're allowed to deliberate, remember. So then they're sequestered in a hotel. They'll be spending all the rest of the weekend now in the hotel till Monday morning. Oh, because spoiler alert, they haven't reached a decision today. So on the 6th day of deliberations, they still haven't reached a verdict. So they're not allowed to deliberate when they're in the hotel. They're not even allowed to talk about it. And there are 3 jury keepers there with them to make sure they don't do that. So, it sounds like a lot, 6 days, but it's not like 6 days, is it? It's maximum probably 5 hours a day. So it's only 30 hours. And when you think about the amount of evidence that was presented by the prosecution, it's a lot for them to go through. And there are big things at stake. There's either Erin Patterson's life is at stake, isn't it? Is she going to spend the rest of her life in prison? Or the victims' lives need their justice. You know, so the jury won't want to make the wrong decision, will they, in the sake of justice for everyone, including Erin. So I don't think, you know, if you look at it that way, maybe it's not that surprising, but maybe it looks better for a guilty verdict. Because if it was not guilty, surely if they were unanimous anyway, they would have come to a decision by now. Of course, it could be a hung jury. You know, it could well be that there's a couple, because it's got to be a unanimous verdict. So it could be there's a couple of people sticking out for either guilty or not guilty, depending on what the others vote for. And they won't be convinced. You know, how long will the judge wait before the judge says to them, look, you've got to do, if you can't come to a unanimous verdict, then this is a mistrial or a hung jury. And then it's all got to be gone through again. But you know what? Even that would be preferable to not guilty verdicts, in my opinion. But anyway, you know, only time will tell. And as I say, only the jury know what's going on. Even the judge doesn't know what's going on in the jury room. The judge, the defence, the jurors are allowed to ask questions. I don't know if they have been sending in for questions, but they're allowed to do that. They've got the judge's instructions in there. They've got a reference to all the testimony. You know, so they're basically sat there in a big study group, really going through it all. And finally, hopefully, they will come up with a unanimous verdict. So, I mean, I still haven't closed the poll yet that I've been doing on this. Let's just have a look though. Maybe I should close it for now. No, do you know what? The poll, you know, I've done a poll, if you don't know, and you must go and, well, I'm not saying you must, but it'd be nice if you go and vote on it. So on my channel, on the community post, I made a post a week ago now when the jury first went out to deliberate, asking, what did you think? Let me find it. It's a week ago now, so it's a few posts down. So I made a post. Let's have a look at it. And I asked, as the verdict finally approaches, hallelujah, God, I didn't know it'd be still another week and this case won't be resolved. What do you think the result will be, the verdict will be? Not what you think, in your opinion. You know, you may think that Erin's guilty, but you may think she'll be found not guilty, or vice versa. So not in your opinion, but what you think the jury will return. And then I put a link to the playlist in case you wanted to go over anything. And we're currently on 78% guilty as charged, 6% not guilty, and 17% I don't know. So if you haven't yet voted, go over there and vote. I'll put a link to the posts on my channel in the chat. And remember, you're not voting for what you think. Whether you think she's guilty or not, you're voting for what you think the jury will find. Well, let me put that in here. Okay. So next thing, so before we get going, so, you know, we have no verdict today. And the jury resumes deliberating 10:30 Australian time on Monday. So they'll be back in the hotel now, probably having a nap. Oh, God, it must be a nightmare for them. So what we're going to do in this video, because we've got no verdict to discuss. You know it's going to go crazy when the verdict comes in, don't you? But anyway, at the moment, there is no verdict. So we're going to look at a few articles that I found that I think you might find interesting. A couple of articles that one of my Chatterati, one of my members sent, that they very kindly copied and pasted because I can't access the actual articles. Going to have a look at them. I've read a couple of them out already, but I've got, I think, one definitely, maybe two that I haven't read out yet. Just general background information about Erin Patterson, etc. So thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, thank you for caring about Don and Gail and Heather and Ian, and thank you for all of you that have bought me Ko-fis, sent me super chats, PayPal'd me, sent me these emails with useful information about this case or other cases as well. Just thank you for nice messages you've left or any positive way you've contributed to my panel. And there's a couple of people have sent me emails about cases. I haven't forgotten about the cases that people have suggested to me or told me about. Just haven't had time, that's all, to cover it. Now, I have managed, because of the couple of days without the verdict, I have managed to catch up on some things that I've been wanting to talk about for ages. Then, of course, we have things that come up, you know, just in general, you know, every day something else happens, doesn't it, that is important and needs addressing. So, you know, I do sort of wade my way. I mean, maybe that's an unfortunate expression. That's how it feels sometimes. It's not that I don't think each case is important. It's just you can only do one video at a time. And along with all the heat and everything else and the car breaking down and all the other things that happen in life, you know, I do try my best to get through everything. I think people appreciate that. Okay, so let's take off the banner. Hello, lovely lurkers. Thank you so much for watching. Hi, loathsome lurkers. My prayers are always for you as well every morning, because you need them more than anyone, don't you? And now I'm going to go into hi, replay crew. Thank you for watching. And now I'm going to go into the chat and say hello to anyone who's brave enough to venture into the chat. Hey, sheep farming. I am very well. I hope you are too. Hi, David. Hi, Bluebell. Hi, Yvonne. Hello again. Yeah. Hi, Maria. Oh, you can all hear me okay. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, so just Yvonne, you can rely on it. You can rely on it. Someone who's massively pedantic and annoying on that jury. At least one. There's probably 11 of them like that. Yeah, do you know, you're exactly right, Maria. It's a bit annoying about Simon sometimes, because obviously it's not his fault. It's not his fault. But he had probably been poisoned before from Erin, because this is something from the past, isn't it? It's thought that Erin, you know, Simon was in hospital for quite a long time before. But maybe it wasn't until this incident that it clicked to him that, yeah, you know, maybe Erin had been trying to kill him. Maybe just, you know, I don't think you would think that at first, would you? Especially supposedly they had a good relationship, etc. Sometimes you can't see what's right there in front of you, can you? But, you know, the denial. Maybe he just didn't realise. And then after this incident, maybe that's when he realised. But yeah, it makes you wonder, because surely he would have said to his parents, as you say, don't go. I would, wouldn't you? You know, if you thought your ex-partner was trying to kill you and maybe that, and she invites you to lunch and you think that maybe you've been poisoned before, you would definitely advise them against going. But I think maybe, you know, what I can see from the videos I've seen of Simon and Ian, obviously I haven't seen videos of the others because they're deceased, bless them. they're a very sort of, I think they're very trusting, sort of ordinary family. You know, they're not into true crime. Erin was into true crime, of course, wasn't she? But, you know, I would doubt very much if Simon was into true crime, or, you know what I mean? It's like, don't strike me as, I mean, we'd be suspicious because we follow true crime. We've seen all these things. But a lot of people just don't have, they're so trusting. They just would not think for a minute that anybody was trying to kill them. So I don't know. Basically, I don't know. Hey, Sean. Hi, Angel. I hope I haven't missed anybody. If I did, say hello to me again and I'll say hello back. So I've got a few things then. So first thing I think we'll look at is the Daily Mail, just to confirm that there was no verdict today. No verdict reached. I mean, you know, people are going to this trial every day, waiting for a verdict, waiting for the golden buzzer, aren't they? And it's not happening. And all the media, they've got to be rounded and about. We saw how they're in the coffee bars and this, that, and the other, waiting for this, you know, to say that the verdict's been reached. And they can't go far away because at any moment that golden buzzer might ring and they might be told, you know, to get into the courtroom for the verdict. But I'll tell you who isn't hanging around is Ian Wilkinson. Apparently, from what I've read in mainstream media, Simon, none of the Patterson family or the Wilkinson family, apparently, this is Simon, Erin's ex-husband, none of them are there waiting for this golden buzzer. What would you read into that? I mean, is there anything to be read into it? I don't know whether they were there the first day and then just decided they couldn't stand the anticipation. I don't know. But I'll tell you who is there as well is Mr. Mandy. Good old Mr. Mandy. He's the defence counsel. And Nanette Rogers, she's there every day waiting for the result, waiting for the buzzer. And of course, Justice Beale, the judge, he's always there. And of course, they've all probably got to be there in case there's any questions, because the jurors are in the courtroom, if you like, in the building, they're in the jury room. And when the buzzer sounds, everyone will come into the court to get the verdict. But wasn't to be today. So, jurors in the Erin Patterson murder trial have concluded their deliberations for today. The jury will resume deliberations at 10:30 a.m. on Monday, and the Daily Mail will be there from 8 a.m. local time on Monday, July the 7th. So this was apparently today. This is Nanette Rogers going in. I think that was today, or anyway, it might be a stock picture. I don't know. These, I think, were the ones of them arriving. Prosecutor Jane Warren on the left and Crown Prosecutor Nanette Rogers SC, seen arriving at the Latrobe Valley Law Courts on Saturday, today, as the jury entered their 6th day of deliberations. I wonder what they're making of it all. So, no verdict today. What other pictures have we got? Oh, so here's Ian. So as I say, Ian, you know, he looks healthy. He's 70 years old. I think he looks good now. He's been through hell physically. He's probably still going through hell mentally. But at least he looks healthy. There's Simon, one of the days that he was arriving. Erin's estranged husband, and of course, one of the children of Gail and Don. So now, where am I going now? Right, let's have a look at this article. This news item I thought was very interesting, about the reasons possibly why we may not have had a verdict yet.
Fourth full day of deliberations in Erin Patterson's triple murder trial has finished without a verdict. As speculation increases on when the 12 men and women of the jury will reach a decision. Abby Dinham joins us live. Abby, is this a long deliberation period?
Jen, when we talk about 4 full days of deliberations, we really need to try and break that down a bit. So the jury only comes in about 10:30 in the morning. They have an hour off for lunch and then they wrap up deliberations about 4:15 p.m. So when you tally that up over the week, they've only really been deliberating for about 20 hours in total. And for a case that's this complex, that's really not that excessive. The prosecution and defence.
So it's interesting what she's saying. For a case that's that complex, it's not really unusual. I mean, it is. I don't think I've ever heard of a case so complex. Well, I haven't covered that many trials. Most of the trials that I've covered, like the Rachel Marin case, I mean, it was pretty much cut and dried, wasn't it? That Victor the Viper had done it. You know, it wasn't really in doubt. Now, the thing is, it's not only today, Bluebell, that Ian hasn't turned up. The family haven't been staying there any day. They haven't been staying there any day. They've been at home. Now, I don't know how far away they live from Morwell. It's possible. I don't know how much notice we'll have when the buzzer rings. Will they even want to be there when the verdict's read out, or will somebody be there for them that will contact them? You know, I feel like I would want to be there, but, you know, everybody's different. I wouldn't want to be there every day, but I probably would want to be there when the actual verdict was read out, but, you know, each their own.
Teams are still turning up to court every day in anticipation of a verdict being announced, along with a handful of court watchers who've been here for almost every day of this trial, and they're determined to be here when that decision's announced. But this week we haven't seen the Patterson and Wilkinson families. They haven't come to court during this deliberation phase, and we understand that the Patterson family don't intend to be here when the verdict is announced. We're unsure about the Wilkinson families, but they're likely going to be watching a live stream from the court when the jury finally returns. As you can imagine, these families have been under this intense global spotlight for the past couple of months, so this might be a moment that they want to have in private. But for now, Jen, deliberations will continue tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much, Abby.
Now, the thing is, yes, Ian did go every day to the trial. I'm talking about since the deliberations have started. Well, the Pattersons haven't been there anyway. And whether Ian's been there or not, she didn't seem to be that sure, but surely she's there, is she? Let's just watch this again. It's only a short video.
Fourth full day of deliberations in Erin Patterson's triple murder trial has finished without a verdict. As speculation increases on when the 12 men and women of the jury will reach a decision. Abby Dinham joins us live. Abby, is this a long deliberation period?
Jen, when we talk about 4 full days of deliberations, we really need to try and break that down a bit. So the jury only comes in about 10:30 in the morning. They have an hour off for lunch and then they wrap up deliberations about 4:15 p.m. So when you tally that up over the week, they've only really been deliberating for about 20 hours in total. And for a case that's this complex, that's really not that excessive. The prosecution and defence teams are still turning up to court every day in anticipation of a verdict being announced, along with a handful of court watchers who've been here for almost every day of this trial, and they're determined to be here when that decision's announced. But this week we haven't seen the Patterson and Wilkinson families. They haven't come to court during this deliberation phase, and we understand that the Patterson family don't intend to be here when the verdict is announced. We're unsure about the Wilkinson families, but they're likely going to be watching a live stream from the court when the jury finally returns. as you can imagine, these families have been under this intense global spotlight for the past couple of months. So this might be a moment that they want to have in private. But for now, Jen, deliberations will continue tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much, Abby.
Okay, so I'm going to just go on to this because I just wanted to show you this that I found on Twitter. I thought it was sort of quite funny, to be honest, because it's from an American tweeter, if you like. And they seem fascinating with Colin Mandy. And look, because he's got on his gowns, I need to turn down the sound because YouTube will do me copyright or whatever. So this person, the defence attorneys there are called barristers, and I love the attire. Reminds me of Harry Potter. This is Colin Mandy, the defence barrister. Look, defence with an S. Oh, hang on, I haven't shared it. There you go. So the defence attorneys there are called barristers, and I love the attire. Reminds me of Harry Potter. This is Colin Mandy, the defence barrister with an S, for Erin Patterson, Australian mushroom murder case. And there's this video of Colin, makes him look like Top Gun type thing. I mean, I do like to see these, as I said to you, I like to see people in proper court clothes. Of course, in America, they just wear, at least they wear suits and everything, but yeah, they don't wear, seems like Harry Potter. I mean, they're certainly under a lot of scrutiny, aren't they? The lawyers. You know, I bet they've never had that much attention in a case, have they? But Colin's probably turning into a little bit of a heartthrob. Yeah, the Top Gun style video. So that's Colin. He's definitely got the glamour, I suppose. That's about all he's got though, because I wouldn't say that it's been, you know, that the defence has been brilliant. But to be fair, Colin has not had much to go on, has he? So I don't know. Okay, so what we're going to look at next, right? We've looked at that one, just putting a cut. So I'm going to put a picture up of the victims. Oh no, actually, at this moment, for this, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a picture up of Erin, because a lot of people, you know, Erin is a very wealthy woman. She inherited a lot of money from her family. She's got everything going for her, really, you know, but she wasn't happy. She's one of those people. Doesn't matter. I don't think it's about money with Erin. She's got loads of money. She's money bags, isn't she? She's been throwing it around. For Erin, it's all about power. And she didn't like it. This is my opinion. She didn't like it when that family stopped treating her like Queen Bee, stopped treating her like the most important person in the universe. She's a narcissist. She couldn't stand that. That's where I think it all stems from. And the same with Simon. It's not that she wanted Simon, but she certainly didn't want anyone else to have him. And she got annoyed with him when he put himself down as separated on his tax form, as he didn't ask her permission first either. She's used to being the Queen Bee, doling out money, borrowing money, or sorry, I should say, lending money to the family, etc. You know, she's had it all, done it all, and then suddenly she stopped getting invited to parties and stopped feeling like she was the most important person. And I am not sure. I wonder if Simon had somebody else, or there was some, you know, is that what was behind it all? Because Erin to me seems like the sort of person, she didn't want Simon herself, but she certainly did not want anyone else to have him, or she certainly did not want to be out of control. So anyway, as I say, one of my members sent me this article, which they've had to copy and paste. Thank you so much for doing that, because the article link that they sent me, I couldn't read it because it was behind a paywall. How Erin Patterson's family money helped build a comfortable life. The proceeds of Erin Patterson's first inheritance trickled slowly down the family tree, all the way from Alexandria in Egypt and the Nile River Delta. It's been widely reported that Patterson, who faces court on Monday, so this was from before the trial even started, who faces court on Monday charged with 3 murders by death cap mushrooms, is a woman of wealth. Where did it come from? It took forever for the proceeds of Erin Trudy Patterson's first inheritance to trickle slowly down the family tree, all the way from Alexandria in Egypt and the Nile River Delta. And this is an article, should tell you where it comes from. It was in the Australian on the 11th of August 2024, and it was written by someone called John Ferguson. So according to John, it took forever for the proceeds of Erin Trudy Patterson's first inheritance to trickle slowly down the family tree, all the way from Alexandria in Egypt and the Nile River Delta. It was the death in 2006 of her Egyptian-born Adelaide grandmother, Aura Scudder, who died at the Clemsick nursing home in the city's northeast, that would trigger a complicated rollout of money that bolstered the family's finances. Makes you wonder what Aura died of, doesn't it? What did Aura die of? It's been widely reported that Patterson, who faces court on Monday, is a woman of wealth. In truth, Patterson, 49, well, she's 50 now, is more financially comfortable than wealthy. Well, I think that's the way you look. It seems wealthy to me. Patterson became better off rather than conspicuously wealthy when her grandmother's will was carved up among the family, the beneficiaries being a relatively large group of people that included Patterson. Most of the money seems to have stayed in South Australia, although the will does not spell out the value of the assets. Aura Scudder, who had lived in a wealthy Adelaide suburb, was elderly when she died, company records show, but there are conflicting dates on official records that have her as both 102 and 85. There's a bit of a difference between 102 and 85. Perhaps a product of being born in Alexandria, either before or after the confusion of the Great War. Let's just change Erin's picture. So we also, of course, I'm going to put up a picture of Erin's mum and her sister in a moment. So some records have her as 102, some 85. Perhaps a product of being born in Alexandria, either before or after the confusion of the Great War. More money flowed to Erin Patterson after the death about 5 years ago of her mother, Heather, an academic. So let's have a look at, we have got a photo of her mum, Heather, I think somebody sent me. Yeah, this is the only photo I have of her mum, Heather. This is her mum, Heather. So she was an academic, which left her better off than a lot of people in the rural Victorian town of Leongatha, where she lived before being charged last year with 3 counts of murder and 5 of attempted murder. Since then, her unoccupied it's not white, it looks grey, doesn't it? Don't you think? Looks like a scary haunted house to me. It's now covered in duct tape, isn't it? 2-storey home on a lonely dirt road on the edge of Leongatha has been cared for, but has become a target for thieves. Aura's death gave, a family friend says, Hugh, who is Eton, and Heather That's Erin's mum and dad. I haven't got a photo of her dad, I don't think. And Heather, some financial assistance, having lived comfortable but not unostentatious lives in Melbourne's Sandbelt and the Outer East, in homes that were not on their suburb's Golden Mile. According to family friends, the daughters were educated at government schools and their lives were suburban normal except for one thing. There were books everywhere. They were an educated family, a good family. Heather Scudder ran the show, Hugh Scudder taking a relative back seat in the daily hum of family life in a neighbourhood that was friendly and filled with open houses, people eating relatively often at each other's. Now let me just change this. So this is Erin's sister, who is a prominent geologist. I mean, she's a lot older than that now. That picture was quite a long time ago, 1996. But just to give you a picture of her, just let me make sure you're all okay in chat. I think so. Yeah, you're all okay. Everything okay? Good. Let me carry on with this. So guide dogs were trained in the Scudder house, a friend says, and Heather would clean the floors most days with domestics. Why is that even relevant? Her husband would often ferry Erin around across town towards her school. They were good people, a neighbour says. You know, Erin said she had a terrible childhood. Do you remember that? I think Erin's an entitled little shit, to be honest. Guide dogs were trained in their house. Everyone knew Erin was smart. She was singled out as bright from a very young age. In later years, they moved to an unremarkable brick home in Glen Waverley in Melbourne's east. To make it easier for Heather to travel to nearby Monash University, where she taught children's literature. She had studied previously overseas. Hugh was a Second World War baby born in the baking hot South Australian riverland town of Renmark. He died of cancer in Eden on the New South Wales far coast about 2011. He was quieter than his wife, but respected at the same time. Chosen by his mother as one of the executors to unwind her, executors, I should say, to unwind her estate when she died. So the chief beneficiary appears to have been a grandson who was assigned the original family home in Adelaide's Inner East. The will does not state how much in dollar terms was to be handed out, but friends say the recipients are comfortable, but not necessarily high-rolling through life. I think people have a different idea of what's comfortable or high-rolling. There was a complicated series of private companies all were left behind, some of which still exist and at least one of which seems to be property related. Hugh and Heather eventually bought a waterfront property at Eden that sold for less than $1 million in 2019 after both parents died. So, like everyone, money matters to Erin. As presumed, like everyone, money matters. Oh no, these are just other things that you can click on if you're reading the exact thing. So she's a former air traffic controller. She has a group of friends, mainly outside the Leongatha area with common interests. Only Facebook. What other friends has she got apart from her Facebook friends? I wonder. So yeah. What do you think? So that's apparently where the money came from. Where Erin, I mean, she's financially comfortable. You know, they can say she isn't or say, oh, it's not really wealthy. It seems like pretty much wealthy to me, to be honest. Of course, everyone has a different idea, don't they, of what's wealthy or not. to me, I think, God, you're wealthy. Don't have to worry about your bills every month. And you can get the food in, just your basic things. But I was watching something. What was I watching? Oh, that's right, because Oasis have got back together, haven't they? And they had their first concert last night. Oh, wow. I mean, I love Oasis. I mean, I'm from Manchester, so I'm bound to. But I really do. I really do love them. And I was watching people being interviewed. And this couple were on there saying, oh, they were asking them, what sacrifices have you made to go to see the Oasis concert? And they said, oh, well, we're not going on holiday this year. It's like, what? Is that really a sacrifice? You're not going on holiday. You're going to see the Oasis in concert. I can't remember the last time I went on a proper holiday. Not a holiday like where you go for 2 weeks and I've been back to the UK. I've done a few on location for a few days here and there. That's, some people take holidays for granted. Not everybody gets a holiday every year. And especially people with kids who can't afford it, can't afford to take their kids on holiday. Certainly not, in the UK. That's why a lot of people go to Spain and places like that, because they are cheaper. But they're still really expensive. I mean, if you've got 2 kids, and of course, normally your kids are at school, so you have to take them during the summer break, which everything's so much more expensive. So it's about 2 adults, 2 kids, let's say. It costs thousands, even just to a sort of fully inclusive in Benidorm or whatever. It costs a bloody fortune. So, to say, oh, well, the sacrifice we've made is we've not gone on holiday this year. It's not really a sacrifice, is it? Really? Some people can't even afford to feed their kids, never mind take them on holiday. Anyway, that was I just thought, oh, for God's sake, what's a proper sacrifice you've done? I mean, they do what they like with their money, good for them, but to talk about as if it's a terrible sacrifice, I just thought was, but, some people just don't realise, do they? Because people don't appreciate what they've got. So, that's what I think of with Erin. She is wealthy, in my opinion. She is wealthy. She can do whatever she wants, can't she? She's got money, she's got properties, she's got 2 properties. If she's hard up, sell one of your properties then. Some people haven't even got one house that they can call their own. So, yeah, I don't, I personally, to me, I think Erin is wealthy, certainly in terms of many people. Okay, so let's see what we're going to look at now. Right, have we had a look at that? I can't remember if we've looked at that or not. Now, this is a video that was made after the 4th day of deliberations. Of course, now we're on 6 days, but we'll watch it because it's interesting.
In Erin Patterson's triple murder trial has finished without a verdict, as speculation increases on when the 12 men and women of the jury will reach a decision. Abby Dinham joins us live. Abby, is this a long deliberation period?
Jen, when we talk about 4 full days of deliberations, we really need to try and break that down a bit. So the jury only comes in about 10:30 in the morning. They have an hour off for lunch, and then they wrap up deliberations about 4:15 p.m. So when you tally that up over the week, they've only really been deliberating for about 20 hours in total. And for a case that's this complex, that's really not that.
Oh, sorry, we've actually seen this one, haven't we? Is it this? This is the one. This is the one. Sorry, we've seen that one already.
Court complex, and in the rare opening in mist-covered Morwell, it's just before 10 a.m. and they're queuing. Saturday morning in mist-covered Morwell, it's just before 10 a.m. and they're queuing for the only show in town. It's the Morwell Court Complex, and in the rarest of moments, it's been opened on a weekend as the Mushroom Case jury returns.
Yeah, so it's not normally open on a Saturday. So all through the case, There's been no testifying on a Saturday, so they've opened it on a Saturday. They must have been expecting these deliberations to be long.
For a sixth day of deliberation.
We've come this far, so we want to, if the verdict comes in today, we'd be sad if we didn't make the trip down.
It's just taking the world by storm, isn't it? It's not just here, it's worldwide. Just mind-blowing.
After a 10-week trial, 50-year-old Erin Patterson awaits a verdict on charges of the murder and attempted murder of 4 family members over her lethal lunch of death cap mushrooms 2 years ago. The jury's Saturday session forcing police, the legal teams and judge to come to court and...
Thank you, Joanne. That's so very kind. You're always so very supportive. Thank you. So nice to be appreciated.
Wait, as the jury now clocks a total 24 hours of deliberation. The 12 jury members now get tomorrow off, albeit sequestered, locked down in their hotel room. No phones, no devices. Any contact with the outside world to friends or family has to be arranged and monitored through 3 jury keepers. Then Monday, back into the courtroom for further deliberations.
That's all, mate.
The longer, the better for local businesses like Mavro's Deli. The mushroom trial has been a boon for trade.
Yeah, so as we looked at in the video the other day, some people are doing okay out of it, and good for them. Good for them. So this is a tiny town, Morwell. It's probably normally really quiet. And if they're managing to sort of keep everyone fed and watered and good for them. That's what I say. Good. I'm glad somebody's getting some positivity out of this horrible case. And you know what? It is a horrible case, isn't it? It's a triple murder. If Erin is found guilty, triple murder and attempted murder, and the circumstances of it, sitting there watching someone eat something that is going to kill them, or at the very least make them terribly, terribly ill. I don't think you get much worse in this case.
Everywhere. All the motels, all the restaurants, all the takeaways, they're all busy.
There is more to Morwell than a murder trial, but the Latrobe Valley town has been doing it tough. And
Thank you, Angel. I love and appreciate you all as well. Thank you. Let's have a little mutual appreciation society this morning.
Cash injection from true crime tourists helps. While the media pass their time focused on a different court, the handball court. While everybody here is really playing the waiting game. Chris Reason, 7 News.
Yeah. Now I'm just going to see if there are any more. The thing is, nobody's got any news about this case because there's no news to give at the moment, is there? Just no news to give at the moment. Just isn't, because we're just waiting for the verdict. We're on verdict watch. It's Tik-Tok, Tik-Tok. That's all that's going on at the moment. But let's just see if I can find maybe another little interesting video. If not, I'm going to love you and leave you now and stop me. I'm having a curry today, I've decided. I'm going to make a curry. Chicken and mushroom. I bought some ship lake mushrooms just for the hell of it. I didn't forage them. I bought them in the supermarket. I thought, yeah, I'm going to make a curry. I'm going to make a chicken and mushroom curry. Oh, dear me. So I did go off mushrooms when I started covering this trial, but now, as long as I don't eat death cap mushrooms, I'm okay. Let's see if I can just find maybe just a little. There's just nothing to say. To be perfectly honest, there is nothing to say because we're just waiting, aren't we? But sometimes the news channels just find something to say, don't they? Just something interesting that we might find. Let's have a look at videos. Just looking for one we haven't seen, because we've seen most of him. Let's try this one. We may have seen it before, but anyway, it don't matter. We'll watch it. This is the last one we're going to watch.
From Mike Amor and our court reporter Estelle Grieping. Mike, this could soon be the longest week of the trial so far.
Hello again, Karina. We still haven't officially heard that the jury has retired for the day, but we just saw Crown Prosecutor Nanette Rogers walk past us, so that may be an indication that that's happened. But you're right, for the first 9 weeks of this trial, the jury has not sat a full Friday. That could change tomorrow. In fact, Estelle, they have potentially 2 more days if they need it.
Yes, Mike. So like you say, they normally have a half day on a Friday, or they've actually had a couple of Fridays off. You know, the judge has given them a long weekend here or there. Understandably, as this has been a very long trial.
Oh, look at Ian. Honestly, I just feel so much for this guy. And that's his daughter there, isn't it? I think it's in the wheelchair. But yeah, we haven't seen this video before. So yeah, normally their Fridays have only been half days, haven't they? If you know, sometimes the judge has said, oh, got some legal things to talk about, I'll see you on Monday or whatever. So the jury are really, you know, in every day now for full days. They did do a full day on Friday. They didn't find a result though. Same today, Saturday, no result. So we're back to Monday now.
Already, but tomorrow will be the first day that they can sit for a full Friday, and then they'll be sequestered, and if we still don't have a verdict by tomorrow, they can sit on Saturday as well. So we'll have to see how it goes, but potentially the deliberations could get us into week 11 of this trial.
And Estelle, the judge can technically...
Look, see how all these mics are set up outside the courtroom and everything? Don't you think that'll be waiting for when the verdict comes up in this case? It's going to blow up. It's going to be, you know, because the BBC are there, people from CNN are there, people. Well, I don't know if CNN are there, but people from all over the world are there, waiting for the verdict in this case. And at the moment, there's like no news coming out because there's nothing to say while the jury are deliberating, but. There soon will be. There soon will be. Whatever the verdict is, it'll be chaos.
Call the jury in and ask them whether they can reach a verdict. We're not there yet, though.
I don't think we're there yet, but in my experience covering courts, it can get to a point where juries have sat for a while that a judge might say, can you come in and can I assist you with anything? Are there any questions I can help you with? So potentially that could be something that happens here, but I think we're a bit early on. We're only on day 4 of deliberations. And I know as well that during his final charge to the jury, the judge said, if you do come in for a question, if you press that buzzer and want to speak to me, just make sure you don't tell me the state of play. I don't want to know how many of you are leaning towards guilty or not guilty. I just want to know the question and I'll see if I can assist you. So we'll have to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of anticipation around this trial, but given it is a murder trial, this is not unusual. This is not an unusual amount of time for a jury to be retired.
No, it's not. And I have covered quite a few Supreme Court murder trials. I would say that we probably still are in the early days. And when you consider all the evidence in this case, and there are actually 4 unique charges, I think, you know, we've just got to wait and see.
And wait, we will. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, Karina.
Okay, Mike and Estelle, thank you so much.
So yeah, it's true. It's a very complex case. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised. It's not even really been a week, has it? It'll be a week on Monday. So yeah, maybe it's not so surprising. I mean, we just don't know. Now, I think another thing that's been interesting about following this case, of course, is, you know, we've got another big Australian case coming up, haven't we, at the end of this year, the Samantha Murphy, Patrick Stevenson's trial. Do you think he's going to do a Brian Kohberger? Do you think as it comes up to the trial, he's going to suddenly say, oh, yeah, I did it? Oh, now somebody sent me a very interesting other case that was very similar to the Samantha Murphy case. And if they don't mind, they'll say who they are. They're in the chat at the moment. And I'm going to look at that because I do think there's a similarity there between Samantha's case and that other case that might give us an insight. The thing is, people don't always need a proper reason. Sometimes people are in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, the Australian police said it was a targeted attack on Samantha Murphy, but that could mean a lot of things, couldn't it? You know, that could mean that the car was driven deliberately at her, you know, to kill her, or, you know, we just don't know. You know, it's so secretive, that case. We'll find out when it comes to the trial. Hi, Tracy. I'm nearly finished now, I'm afraid. We'll find, but this has been interesting to see how Australian trials work, because I've never covered an Australian trial before. So I think we can expect a bit of a marathon in that case as well, because weren't there 400 pieces of data, like data evidence, to go through for the Samantha Murphy case? You know, so that's going to be another interesting thing. Well, it might do, David. Nobody expected Brian Kohberger. Nobody expected Brian Kohberger to plead guilty. It was a complete surprise to everyone. And there's nothing to say that that might happen. Yeah, they said a targeted attack, Sean. But having said that, they said that Patrick Stevenson did not know Samantha. So what they were trying to say, I think the police, when they literally, that was the word they used, said a targeted attack, was they were trying to say it was not an accident. You know, it wasn't that he ran her over by accident. It was targeted. Now, whether they mean it was targeted in the sense, you know, he was waiting for her and then, you know, did it, or whether she was just running past and he saw her and then, you know, headed for her, I don't know. So anyway, this other case that somebody had sent me about is a case I hadn't heard of before, and it's very similar. And I think the other thing that's important is that, you know, a young man like Patrick, I think a lot of people were, you know, have said, oh, well, what would a young man, and she's an older woman, and as if it matters. It doesn't matter, because when someone's a twonk, when someone's evil, they don't think about age. They don't think about, you know, even RAPE. We don't know if Samantha was RAPE'd or not. But even something like that, it's not about sex or anything like that. It's about power. Could be anyone. Could be any woman. Could be a child. You know, when someone who is just doing it like for the experience of doing it to somebody, for having the power over them, it's not about whether that person is young, attractive, not attractive, not about any of that. It's just about opportunity and ability and all those things. So okay, Tracy, yeah, watch on catch up. Anyway, I'm going now. So thank you everyone for being here. Sorry, I haven't got any news to bring you. Of course, you know, we don't know the verdict yet, but I've just, you know, for a few days, I haven't even talked really about this case. So I wanted to just talk about it again so we don't forget about it. God, by the time we, you know, by September, will we have found a result? Will we have had a verdict? Well, I'm sure we will. I'm sure next week we'll get a verdict. Please, God. And not, you know, not for us, but for the families of the victims and for Ian. You know, they need a resolution, they need an ending, they need to move on, don't they? You know, they'll never get their loved ones back, but they need to get their lives back. And Erin Patterson has taken up too much of their lives one way or another, hasn't she? So, okay, I'll see you really soon in the next video. They're so hot on my ears, these headphones, but I can hear better, so it's good. Anyway, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Don't forget to like. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And most importantly, press the notifications, all notifications, so that you don't miss any new things. I mean, there won't be anything to do about this case now until Monday, but there'll be other things I'll be talking about. Okay, I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, May your God go with you. Thank you. Oh, I haven't pressed.